Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Thought Dump, where I dump my thoughts on various topics around the internet. My name is Mize, and today, what we're going to be talking about today is the whole Myles Garret, Mason Rudolph situation. So, if you haven't heard of the situation, on Thursday Night Football, Myles Garret went to go ahead and make a tackle against Mason Rudolph. This is towards the end of the game, and they got in a little kerfuffle, which broke out in a huge brawl. Now, this is football that we're talking about. Most of the time, fights in football they're not common, but they're also not unheard of. We usually see at least one or two brawls, even a couple, throughout almost each NFL football season. However, this particular battle, or this particular fight, got a lot of people's attention, and for the really, really wrong reasons. During this whole encounter, Myles Garret decided to try to rip off Mason Rudolph's helmet, which he did succeed in doing, and proceeded to try and hit him against the head with it, which again, he also succeeded in doing that. This is, again, it's not uncommon to see fights in the NFL, but this will probably be one of the more memorable ones in NFL history, and to be fair, I did laugh. This was funny when I saw it, that someone had to try so hard and so aggressively to actually rip off somebody's helmet and try to beat them with their own helmet. It's funny to think about, but of course, this is the NFL, and the NFL has to take these types of things a lot more seriously than us fans have to. So, of course, because of this, the NFL had to take action, and there were a few other key players that were suspended for this, but the big one is that Myles Garret is currently suspended indefinitely, which will most likely make him suspended for the rest of the season, and suspended for how much longer we don't know. He could be suspended towards next season, and he could be suspended for all of next season, or a few games during the preseason for next season. But his current suspension right now, at least of recording, is that his suspension is indefinite. Now, I have been seeing a lot of people disagree with this decision and agree with this decision, saying that it was too harsh for him to do it. People fight all the time, and other people making the argument that, well, yeah, people fight all the time, but this is a special case. This is a thing of someone trying to rip off somebody's helmet to beat him with it. And as much as I don't like the commission of the NFL that much, since they have proven themselves to be kind of sketchy, I do in this case agree with the indefinite suspension of Myles Garret. For you to go out of your way to go ahead and rip another player's helmet off and proceed to attempt to beat the helmet against the head of the player, that's excessive. Usually people will throw fists, do takedowns, get on the ground, roll around. That's in the heat of the moment. But you had to actually actively think that I'm going to rip this guy's helmet off because he's pissing me off, and I am going to swing at him with his own helmet because fuck that guy. Now, do I think he should be suspended until next season? No, I don't really agree with him for having that lengthy of suspension. I do think the suspension should be longer than usual, maybe towards the rest of the season, maybe even one playoff game if the Browns make it to the playoffs at all. But I think a longer suspension is needed. I agree with the indefinite suspension. However, I do think they should at least come to the decision, at least rest the season, one game of the playoffs if the Browns make it. Going into next season would be a little too extensive, but I can also see why they would do it, since the NFL has tried to make a point on head injuries in general, and someone actively attacking the head of another player could set a bad example for the president that they're trying to send to everyone about concussions and head injuries and the long-term effects of those things. So I can see why the NFL would do it. I would not agree if they did it till next season. I think the rest of the season and maybe one playoff game, again, as I repeat over and over again, if the Browns make the playoffs, then that's a suspension that I could agree with. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me. A lot of people are going to think that's too aggressive. But at the end of the day, he went a little extra in that fight, and he needs to get a little bit extra punishment. And again, as a recording, we don't know exactly when they'll make the decision or when they will allow him to come back. As of right now, it is only just indefinite. I know Myles Garret and a few other players, I think 1 or 2, are trying to appeal it. I don't think the appeal is going to go through. In certain cases, if it was lengthy enough, I could see the appeal go through, actually be accepted, and it be shortened. But in this situation, I think that his appeal is going to get denied. And if it gets approved, well then, shit, that's a whole other topic that we got to talk about. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to go ahead and like the videos that you see right now over here. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to stay hydrated, and I will see you guys in the next video.